Hello everybody, welcome to a Facebook Live with Jeannie. I'm Jeannie Nielsen, the card lady, and I'm very excited to be here with you today. Today we are talking Sweet Blooms, and if you haven't heard of Sweet Blooms is part of the Florals in Bloom Sweet Collection. It's in the annual catalog. That may look familiar. It uses, well, we used it a little bit. The Pretty Florals and the Sweet Blooms stamp set both coordinate. The Sweet Blooms is more words. The Pretty Florals is more flowers. Got some lovely, lovely images. I love the DSP. The DSP is called Florals in Bloom, my favorite, even more than the Impressions of Bloom sweet paper. So I hope you love it as much as I do. Nice bright colors. I love the pinks and purples. My favorites are the reds and greens, the Poppy Parade and the Granny Apple Greens. So I hope you love it as much as I do. But I did use some different DSP as well. So we're going to get right to it, but I wanted to show you the stamp set before I go down. Sweet Blooms is the name of it. It has matching dies. So it has words like lovely and bloom, and because of that, it has dies that cut out those words, both the detailed dies and the more detailed dies, which are more intricate and more fine, and then the outline dies. And we're going to use that for one of our cards, and I'm going to show you how you don't have to use both of the dies. You can actually stamp, and I can show you how to line it up very, very easily. Besides that, there aren't a whole lot of words in here. Even though there are words, there's not a whole lot. We're going to say, let joy bloom, of course. You make me smile is lovely, but we're not using that unless I do it on the inside. I could do it on the inside. But the other stamp set besides Sweet Blooms that I'm going to use is called The Right Words. And if you are looking for a stamp set that says just about everything, this is the one to find. Seriously, I love the Right Words stamp set. I use it just about exclusively now for all of my sentiments, but there are two other stamp sets that I found coordinate, and I kind of found them by accident. I had a class on Saturday, and my friend Penny was here, and she said, do you have anything that says happy birthday? Well, I found this beautiful, and you'll see where it's going to fit perfectly, this beautiful little happy birthday sentiment. It actually has some other sentiments like, hope your day blooms with happiness, and sending you a floral hug. I couldn't have picked a better friend. I think is perfectly appropriate. And of course, the happy birthday. So that, and if you need a sympathy card, with sympathy fits really well in one of our cards. So you'll see, just a note to let you know you're on my mind. Beautiful sentiment. Okay. So let's get to business. Let's make our cards. We have 3 lovely cards that we're going to make today. If you're looking for the suite, it's on page 41 to about 43 in the catalog, maybe even 45. There's lots of ideas. So, okay, let's get to business and make these lovely Sweet Blooms cards. The first card I am going to make is actually, it surprised me how well these show up. You know what? I'm so glad I could catch you too, Rose, or that you could catch me, I should say. I forgot, I hope you're still there, but I forgot to put the thing on Do Not Disturb. So hopefully nobody calls or texts me in the middle of this because that's going to catch me. Rose, I'm so glad you texted me to say, are you going live? Because here I am. So let's show you the first card. The first card, I'm going to flip down so that you can see everything. So let's go up, and I hope you noticed my beautiful, I'm going to get underneath here so you can see it, my beautiful floral shirt. Isn't that lovely? I wore florals just for you to go along with the Sweet Blooms cards. This is the first card, and I am shocked how well this pink and orange go together. Now, they're really not pink. This is petal pink, and this orange is our new Timid Tiger. And isn't it lovely how well it goes together? So we're going to make this card first. If I can find my card kit. Here it is. Okay, so let's get to business, and I'll show you how to make this card. We're going to start with a petal pink base. Petal pink base is 5.5 by 8.5, and of course we are going to score it at 4 1/4 inches. I just realized I wanted to have a ruler just so I could talk to you guys about the measurements. Okay, I'm back. I have everything else. My son won't be too disappointed with me. Okay, we have next a piece of Timid Tiger. And this Timid Tiger is, I know it's 4 1/4 inches wide because it's as wide as the card front, but it's 2.5 inches, which means our basic white is going to be 2 1/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches. It's going to fit perfectly just like that. So let me show you how we stamped it. And then I'm going to show you, when I'm making my card kits, I like to take a little nip out of the corner of one of them, and then you know what the scrap is, just so people don't try to do something like that and glue that on. Just a little hint for anybody that's doing card prep. I had a friend that did that, and I loved adopting her idea. Let me start by stamping this white piece, and I'm going to want some white scrap paper because I'm going to do a lot of stamping off. Now, when I am stamping off, some people call it first generation, second generation. Stamping off is basically inking the stamp, stamping, and then not re-inking and stamping again. So that would be stamping off, would be not re-inking after you stamped. Many times you use it for a lighter color, the same shade of a certain color. For us, we're going to do it with the petal pink. And you'll see that right here. You'll see, you can barely see it. We're going to do the petal pink. We could do full strength, but if I do it stamped off, it's not going to be as noticeable and it's going to be a better background. The trick is to remember that you have to stamp off every single time. And that certainly is sometimes an issue. Okay, so let's get our stamps here. I have petal pink. We're going to use 3 ink colors today. We are going to use petal pink, we're going to use Timid Tiger, and we are going to use Shy Shamrock. So Timid Tiger is, of course, the new orange. It's like a lighter version of pumpkin pie, but it's a little bit, it has a little bit of pink in it. I can't explain it, but it's just not, I think that's why it goes so well with the petal pink. It just has a little tiny bit of pink in it instead of yellow or something like that. Okay, then Shy Shamrock, if you remember, was last year's in color. One of them, it's very, very close to Summer Splash, except Summer Splash is a tiny bit more turquoise. Shy Shamrock is a tiny bit more green. So we're going to have all 3 of these ink pads out here and ready to go. And let me show you, let me move this out of the way so I don't get it all dirty. This is the background stamp. This is what it looks like. It's just a bunch of lines, and if you didn't see it, actually, I probably would have ignored this stamp if I hadn't gotten this card as a swap. So this is what I mean. So I'm inking up my background stamp here with petal pink. If I stamp it directly, that's pretty dark. I don't know if you can see that. Let me bring that up a little bit so you can see it. That's pretty dark. But I don't want to do it that dark. So what I'm going to do is just randomly stamp off. So this would be first generation. This is second generation. There are times when you can stamp it off further and even do third generation. Fourth generation gets a little bit hard to see unless it's a very, very bright color. So I'm doing this. I'm going to stamp, stamp, stamp off. This is the stamping off process right here. I'm taking the ink off and then I'm going to put it back on. For anybody that hasn't done this before, or if you ever had a tutorial that said stamp it off and you said, what the heck does that mean? Well, I'm telling you right now, this is what it means. So I'm just doing it lightly and just a couple of corners, just like that. Now, I'm not going to do more than that. It's just, if you look, you can barely see it. Okay, I think I can close my petal pink now. I don't think I'm going to be using that at all anymore. So what I'm going to do next, after I clean my stamp so I don't get my cards all dirty, I am going to stamp the leaves. And this is what you would call a two-step stamp. You can see here are the leaves, and then there's openings or gaps in there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but these gaps are actually where the flowers are going to fit in. And you can see how it is done right here. The flowers perfectly line up if you do it right so that they sit on top of the stems just like that. So I'm going to stamp my Shy Shamrock. I'm going to make sure the stem goes off the page. And what I like to do, since there's 3 of them, I'm going to start with my one in the middle, just like that. We'll do one on this side, and we'll do one on this side. And the reason I start with one in the middle is because then I can kind of figure out what is evenly spacing. You like it to look even. It doesn't have to be exact, but I found that the closer it looks to even, the nicer it appeals to people. Okay, so this is the stamp, and this is a tricky little stamp. What I end up doing is I ink it up, and I'm inking it up with a Timid Tiger. And what I'm going to do is just stand over it. Don't do this sitting down. It's really, really hard. I look for my openings, and I look to see, I just keep moving until everything is sitting on top of a stem. And I hope for the best. And seriously, that's what I do. I hope for the best. And that is not very bad. You have to they can't sit exactly on the stem. If they did, if you can see on here where it's sitting on the stem doesn't quite connect. So you kind of have to have it nice and in between, if that makes any sense. So once again, I'm going to put it here, and I just keep moving it until I find something that looks close to what I want. And once again, that's a little, I should have moved it over a tiny bit that way. You can still see it. It's not bad, and nobody's going to judge it, but that's how it looks. The third one, I think the problem is, just like I said, don't do this sitting down. I'm doing it sitting down. And that's number 3. Not terrible by any means. It's sitting a little bit closer to the stem. I actually like this one on the left the best because it's not quite on top of the stem, but this one, the stems are so obviously just hanging out in thin air. So, okay, so that's that. What I'm going to do next is just fill in some of the spaces at the bottom. And I'm going to use the Shy Shamrock again. So I haven't put that away. What I'm going to use is this little leaf stem in between. And I'm going to do some higher, some lower. But this, once again, I don't want it to be so obvious. I don't want it to take away from the stems here. So I'm stamping off. And in fact, I'm even going to, this is what you would consider 3rd generation. You can barely see it, but you can. So there we go. So let me see again. I'm going to do this. So some are higher. I'm actually going to do that one lower and a little bit stamped off. Just like that. That's all we're going to do. And you know what I'm going to do finally? The last thing I'm going to do is fill the gaps with some of these beautiful gold butterflies. Oh my goodness, I have a bug in here. It probably came in from the garage. There's nothing worse than bugs. Seriously. I'm going to use a nice big butterfly, and I'm picking it up with the sticky putty side of my take your pick tool, just like that. Let me do one more. And I'm going to do that facing kind of in a different direction, but kind of down. You'll see that this one did a really good job of kind of filling in that white space there. But you can do as many or as little as you want. They usually say to do something like something in 3s. So So maybe I'll do one more up here in a different direction again, a smaller one. So there we go. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is just attach this right to the center of my, I'm going to leave that for a second. No, maybe I'll just close my Timid Tiger. I think I might stamp something on the inside. Oh, I forgot. We haven't finished. We do need the Timid Tiger. We have to stamp the Let Joy and the bloom here. And look at that. I could have easily, I added all these butterflies and I didn't have to do that many butterflies because they did one at the bottom and I really like how they did it. So maybe we'll see if we can move it. Okay, just adding this to the center. Just like that. If you want it to not be sticky on your placemat, you're going to want your silicone mat underneath you when you glue, just like that. And what I'm going to do is attach this to the top, right here, about 3/4 of an inch from the top. And then we're going to do the fun part, which is the die cut with the stamping. I wanted that to actually go down more. Good enough. Okay, so let me stamp the Let Joy right down here, just kind of right there. Actually, I'm going to wait to stamp the Let Joy until I stamp the bloom, because where I put my die cut is going to really determine where I'm going to put the Let Joy. So let's wait on that. Okay, so I think I left my stamp at the table. Or did I put it in another bin? Oh my, oh my. Where is my bloom? Okay, hang on one quick second and I will find this stamp. Okay, I found it. So this is the bloom stamp, and it is exactly the same as your detail stamp, or detail die, I should say. So you could, if you didn't want to trust yourself die cutting, and I'm going to show you the trick, it's really not difficult at all. You could certainly die cut the detail and attach it, and it could be maybe a darker color, like maybe pumpkin pie on top of this. But okay, so here we go. We are going to stamp this, and I'm going to stamp this right in the center, just like that. Hold it there, let the ink absorb. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's my bloom. Let me clean that off before I get it all over my envelope. And now I want to show you how to use the die. So what we're going to do is, it has the beautiful opening and it shows you exactly where you're going to line up your die cut. It's almost impossible to mess up, just like that. So you can see that. And I want to show you, if I can find it, I already actually die cut that. So, oh, here it is. So this is what I die cut, and it's a pretty solid die. So like I said, I am looking through the opening and I was able to line it up just perfectly. So it's not impossible at all, okay? So I would take this die and die cut it. You could stack them on top of each other if you wanted to, whatever you want to do. What I'm going to do next, I could pop these up with dimensionals. I'm actually just going to glue it directly on. So let me just add a couple dots of glue, and it's not difficult with this because there's lots of solid space, just like that. It's a little bit trickier when it's the detailed die cut. And then I would tell you, if you're going to die cut it, make sure you're die cutting it with the adhesive sheet on the back. Okay, so we're going to put this right down here, just like that. Beautiful. And now, because this is photopolymer, I can line this up really, really well. And what I'm going to do is ink up my Let Joy, and I'm going to stamp that right there. No problem at all. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, and then what I think I want to do, if I can do it, I kind of liked the butterfly up here, but I'm going to move it, and I'm going to put it over top of my J, because I love using dotting my I's. So why don't we dot our J with the butterfly. So there we go. Beautiful. Now all I have to do is stamp inside. So I picked out a stamp from the Right Words. It says, and let me see if I can read this backwards, to someone worth celebrating every single day. I love that. And I think because the rest of the card is stamped in the Timid Tiger, maybe I better do that for this one as well. So I lined it up with the top of my block. So I'm going to not even go over top and just trust the block, just like I say all the time. And that's pretty straight. Isn't that beautiful? Let's do one more thing and bring in the green of the leaf, that little leaf that we stamped off. We'll just stamp it right there. Ta-da! And just like that, our card is done. So let me just glue this to the inside. This would make a perfect birthday card. But because of what the sentiment says, that you're worth celebrating every single day, I think it doesn't even have to have a reason that you are celebrating or sending a card. Because we all need to, don't you love it when you get a card in the mail? I know that Rose was counting her birthday cards, and she still hasn't gotten hers from me because I haven't sent it yet. But she was counting her birthday cards because it made her feel special, that people were thinking of her. Well, there are people out there that are not getting cards. They're not having a birthday. They're not getting cards, or maybe nobody knows their birthday. They're just lonely, lonely people. So if you think of them, if they pop into your mind, there's probably a reason that they're popping into your mind, and you should definitely send them a card. I forgot that I wanted to add a little linen thread. Just like, this was not my card, it was a swap card. I hate these little buggies that are flying in front of me, and it definitely is the bugs, it's not me. I know sometimes I see things, but there's definitely there's a big fly in here, but there are also it's a little black bug that's flying, just like it flies around me when I'm doing my 10,000 steps. By the way, I am working on day 108 of 10,000 steps today. I'm going to just add that with a glue dot up there. If I have my glue dots here, I do. This certainly didn't need this linen thread, but it's a nice addition. So if you add it, I always take my bows to my glue dots rather than my glue dots to my bows. I'm just going to go like this. Just going to attach it just like that. Ta-da! Card number 1, all made. Okay, let me put my butterflies back in their envelope so they don't come off all over my stamps or whatever. Put my linen thread back here, and let's move on to card number 2. And card number 2, let's see. This is again using the pretty florals, the floral paper. I'll show you the card. Isn't this beautiful? This also was not my card. This is why I do swaps, because when I do swaps, that's how that goes. Somebody did it with a double baker's twine, and we're going to try and show you how to do that. But anyway, when you do swaps, this is a fancy fold card. When I do swaps, I get cards that I might not otherwise know how to make. So this is how this card works, just like that. Isn't that cool? So let's show you how it's made. I'm going to start by moving my glue dots out of the way and picking up my dimensionals that just fell all over the place. Usually I don't have any dimensionals, and now my envelope is getting so heavy that they're falling over. Okay, so let's put that card there for now. I don't think I need the scrap paper yet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is bring in my scoreboard. This is our scoring tool. You can use your paper trimmer if you want to. I am a big fan of the scoreboard. It has marks every 1/8 inch. It's very straight, very predictable. And it just, with the stylus tool that comes as part of the scoreboard, it's just really easy to use. There's 2 tips to this stylus. There's a bigger tip and a smaller tip. I find myself gravitating to the larger tip, I should say, all the time. I feel like the smaller tip has more of a potential to rip my paper. So, okay, so here we go. This is our, let me bring my pieces in. This is our paper. Now, it's 5.5 by 8.5 now. Before I start, it's going to be easiest, I should say, if I bring in my paper trimmer and take off 1 inch. So if you only have a paper trimmer, you're going to use your scoring blade right here, which is the lighter one. The darker one, of course, is your cutting blade. So if you want to score, make sure you're using the lighter. What I end up doing is if I'm intending to cut, I move the score blade out of the way. If I'm intending to score, I move the cutting blade out of the way. So just take your pick. We are going to take 1 inch off of this. This is actually going to be 5.5 by 7.5 inches. So you can save this scrap for something else. Let me move my paper trimmer out of the way and bring my scoreboard back. And we are going to score this on the 7.5 inch side with our bigger tip here. We're going to score it at 3 1/4 inches. And if I had kept it, it would have been 4 1/4 inches that I would have scored it at. So it's kind of the half, it's the center. The inch that's missing came off of this side, if that makes any sense. So 3 1/4 inches and then 6.5 inches, just like that. And then I can move this out of the way. And let's do our scoring. You're gonna need your bone folder because you wanna burnish at least this edge for now. But you'll see the other one is going to burnish too, because you're not only, and actually, I kind of did that wrong. I should have flipped this over. For the 6.5, I should have flipped this over like this because the bump goes on the inside and we're actually going to flip this back just like that. So let me do it just like that. I did it, so now we're going to score this edge back like this, and I can burnish that too. Burnishing is just making sure that your score line is nice and crisp. Okay, now what I'm going to do is start attaching some of my DSP. So this piece of DSP, this is the Pretty Floral DSP. It's 3 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Yep. And that's going to go on the front right there. So let me do that. It's got a cool pattern on the back, which would be great for the turtles if you wanted to. Attach this right here. And you'll notice that I already have my card front closed. And then the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to attach this. I love that pattern too, but we're going to use this piece, and this is going to bring out the cloud cover in this pattern, just like this. We're going to attach this piece, which is 3/4 by 5 1/4 inches. We're going to attach that right there. If you chose to do this one, you certainly could. Then you'd probably just pick different, you certainly could. It's just a little bit busier. So, but I'm going to do the other side because that's what we've done already. Just like that. And I'm going to attach that between the score line and the outside edge on the inside of the card, just like that. Just like that. And then I have my basic white. And where's my basic white? Probably inside my card. This is going to be the inside, and it's actually the same size as your DSP. It's 2 3/4. No, I didn't say that, did I? Is it 2 3/4? No, it's 3 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So 3 inches for the DSP. That means you could get 6 out of 1 sheet of paper because you've got 12 inches across, and then by 5 1/4 means you're only going to get 2 on the top and bottom on each section. This is going to go on the inside, and we're going to stamp that in a second. But what I want to do first is I have a, this was what used to be called the Radiating Stitches dies when it was in rectangles. I don't know if you remember those dies. I love them in the rectangles. This is actually the Spotlight on Nature circle, and there's a couple of different sizes and designs, and I like this nice solid one. And what I'm going to do is attach that here. We'll do that in just a second. We're going to attach that to this, and it's going to be the opening mechanism and closing mechanism, I should say, of the front. But I want to stamp here. Oh, I do need my scrap paper. I want to stamp the florals at the bottom. And this is, again, a two-step stamp. Move this out of the way. We're going to use, for colors, Granny Apple Green and Petunia Pop. So those are the colors we're going to pick out. If you wanted to pick out Secret Sea, you certainly could. You could pick out Cloud Cover. This is probably more like Shy Shamrock or Summer Splash. It could be Summer Splash. It could actually even be Shaded Spruce. So you could pick out whatever color you want. But we're talking spring, summer right now, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I have this little square, and what I'm going to do first is stamp my blossoms at the bottom. And we're going to stamp them in Petunia Pop. Now this is from the Pretty Florals stamp set. There's this beautiful, it looks like star flowers. So many, it's probably a delphinium or something like that. Delphinium, stock, lupine is not going to look quite like that. It has more like bells. Foxglove, they have more like bells. But then you have the inner flowers, which is a solid one. And this is, again, going to be stamped off. So what I'm going to do is find my little green leaves, because we're going to accent with the green leaves. I might do that after I punch out my thing, but let's start by stamping my flowers. So we're going to stamp the flowers in Petunia Pop. I always start with the detailed one. When you start with the detail, you can kind of see where the other one is going to go. So we're going to go like that, close to the bottom. This one may be a little bit higher up, like that. Let me clean that, because I'm going to use that again in another card. Now we're going to use our solid stamp. And this two-step stamping, you're going to stamp off and then get up over top of your thing, and you can kind of see where they're going to go. It's not going to matter if it's exact or not. Not at all. That's actually not bad. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Not bad. So and I wasn't really, I don't know if I was over top or not. I'm just doing my best. But this one, same thing. It looks nice. That's good enough. You don't have to be fancy. If you miss the flower entirely, you can always go back, ink it. Don't forget to stamp off. If you don't stamp off, you see how dark this ink is here? It is totally going to hide the detail. So make sure you stamp off. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is take my 1 3/4 inch punch. And because it's going to get lost in here, I'm going to show you a little trick for punching. Most of you probably know this. I have this Post-it note, and this is the sticky part right here. And what I'm going to do is attach it behind here, and I'm going to use that as my handle. And I'm going to just ease this in just like that. Go just like that. And there is my punch out. And see, I couldn't have done that without that little handle piece from the Post-it note. So that's just a little trick for extending your scrap paper. So if you have only a small piece of scrap. Okay, the Petunia Pop can go away. Let's stamp our inside. Now I want to show you this card, and this is not what I'm going to do, but I want to show you this card and how they did it. This card says, I miss you already. Oh, I'll add a little bit of the green here in between, but just to let you know, that stamp is actually a very long stamp. This is what the stamp looks like. So you would stamp, I miss you, and maybe take a piece of Post-it and cover up this part, or, when you're stamping, just cover up. Sometimes I've used Scotch tape, but whatever you're going to do, you're going to cover up the already and just stamp that. And then you're going to go back, clean your stamp, and then just try to ink up the already part. And what you do instead is cover up the I miss you part like that and stamp just the already. Just don't forget to take it off. If you forget to take it off, the tape or something, when you're inking it up, you're going to have a big fat blob in the middle of your thing. It's going to totally defeat the purpose. I don't need any more I miss you already stamps. I'm going to stamp happy birthday because I can always use more birthday cards, of course, with my extensive list. And does it matter if it's straight up? Probably not, but I've got my Granny Apple Green. Not bad. You can do it however. I wish it was a little bit more turned, but I'm not going to get hung up about it because this is a handmade card, right? Let's just take our, once again, our little, where is that? This one. I'm just going to take a little bit of Granny Apple Green, and I'll do it. I'm stamping off my paper, just like that. Maybe I'll do a center stamped off, just like that. And then we've just added a little bit of green to the bottom, just like that. And I probably had something on my finger because there's a tiny little dot of something there. Who knows what that is? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just glue this to the center of my Spotlight on Nature die. And now if you wanted to know, this die is 2 1/8 inch across. The diameter is 2 1/8 inches. So if you wanted to find a punch like that, you could. Or you could find your own. You could probably even do a 2-inch punch. I'm getting Granny Apple Green all over my hands, which is going to be a big problem if I get it on my card. Let's just attach this to the center. Oh, you see that? This is actually the Post-it note. You can peel that away and get rid of that. That's part of the Post-it note that I punched out. So as long as you have a nice working stamp, this really works out well in this punch, just like that. It's a perfect size for this die cut. And what I'm going to do now is attach this. Actually, let me stamp my inside. So I said the happy birthday. Let's stamp something on the white here. I have another stamp that I chose out of here. Hoping your day blooms with happiness. Since this is a blooms class and this is a bloom right there, we're going to put that right in the center of our thing. And I just want to make sure it doesn't look like it's lined up with the top of my block. Right. So let me get my Granny Apple Green again. And I'm going to ink that stamp right in the center, just like that. Beautiful. See, that's why you line up with the block. If you can look at this and you can at least see if the lining of the stamp works with the top of the block, and then you can, because sometimes you can see Stampin' Up! Didn't do a great job trimming around here. There's a lot of excess around there. And if it's not even, or if it's cut even at an angle or something, you're going to end up with a crooked stamp. And there's nothing you can do about it unless you're trusting your block. You put it on the block straight, you can use your grid paper if you want, but if you put it on the block straight, you're going to stamp straight. That's just the way that is. Okay, you know what? I do want to stamp a couple more blooms right here in the corner. They were kind of fun to stamp, so let's do that real quick. Again, because of the front, I'm going to use my Petunia Pop, and then I have to show you how to do that double bow, which is super easy. Most of you probably know what I'm going to do. So we're going to stamp like that, just like that. And our Petunia Pop, stamp it off. I better stand up. There we go. Not bad. Let's do it one more time. Line it up like that. Not bad. See, I'm not being fussy. I could be, if you look at this one, it's stamped outside the line. Don't worry about it. It's almost like a watercolor look. Just have fun with it. You know, don't get so stressed out that it's not perfectly within the lines. It's just not worth it to you. Not worth the trouble or your stress. You're supposed to love doing this. I think I'm going to try just doing this as a stem right here. I'm going to use the center leaf as a stem. So what I'm going to do, stamp just like that. Not bad. And what I could do with my Granny Apple Green, if I wanted to, I could take a little marker. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I've got my Granny Apple Green. use the fine side of your marker. And what I'm going to do, even the fine side is a little bit thick, I've found, but that's okay. Just go like this. Just go like this. And ta-da, you've got connected blooms. Good enough. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to look, but it works. Okay, putting that away, I'm going to attach this to the inside of the card, and then we'll make our double bow. So, like I said, 3 by 5 1/4, just like the DSP on the front. Hope I'm in the picture here. I'm just going to center that between the 2 score lines, just like that. Ta-da. Okay, now what I want to do is attach this. So I want this to be a mechanism. So what I need to do is make sure that I'm only putting adhesive on part of it. If you need to draw something with a pencil on the back so you don't get the glue between, you can. I just try to, I don't know. I'm just going to try and do my best. That's what we're going to do. You're going to need a fair amount like that because it has to hold with this. So let's do it. We're going to put this right there and hope for the best. Wow, that looks really good. So see, that's what it looks like on the inside. So I'm flipping this back and attaching that just like that. And this holds it closed. And to open it, you just do that. Isn't that cool? Let's add a couple of gems. I've got my Take Your Pick tool. We're going to use our In Color flat pearls. Is that what they're called? In Color flat pearls. These are the new In Color flat pearls from this year, of course. We're going to use the cloud cover, just a couple of them. You're going to want the putty side. You can kind of push them off and then just lift them and just drop them. I mean, that's how easy it is. Put one there, and do I want to put one here? I could put one there just to cover that little mark, couldn't I? Ta-da, just like that. That's all you have to do. Don't make it so lined up that it looks perfect. You don't want that. You want it to look handmade. Okay, that's that, and then our double bow. So this is how you make the double bow. You take a length of string, and I've got my baker's twine. And what I do is I've doubled it up over here. I'm going to make myself a loop just like that. And then I'm going to take this, loop it around my thumb. Then I'm going to make another little loop and pull that through. And I just twist it and pull it, twist it and pull it. So this loop is still doubled up. This side is still attached to my, just like that. You can play with it. It's still attached to my twine, the rest of my twine here. Just pull each, whatever side it is, to kind of bring it in so that they're even, just like that. And then I'll show you what I'm going to do. All I'm going to do is cut that, and I'll cut these so that they're about even because that's a little bit frayed on that end right there. Okay. So that's all I'm doing. And I'm just going to attach that. If you wanted to have bigger tails and smaller ears, just pull it in just like that. And you can trim it once it's on there. And I could just attach it right there if I want to. And since I've made it, let's attach it. Take the thick part of my dot, and I'm going to try and put that right over my glue dot. I've used my finger to squish that in, kind of make it into a nice round instead of a flat glue dot. And we're just going to attach that right there, just like that. And by doing that, that also kind of holds it in place. So I can easily, let's trim these tails a little bit because I like the smaller ears. There we go, just like that. Ta-da! I hope you love that card. This is probably my favorite pattern in there, I have to say. It's so bright. I just love that. Okay, so hopefully that all made sense to you. Let's put this aside and make our third card. And I have to remember the name of the paper. I think it's the Mixed Blooms DSP. Oh, wrong pack. I've already done that one. This is the one we're going to make. Okay, so this is our card. I'm pretty sure it's the Mixed Blooms DSP. This is a fancy fold card. This was actually my card. It's a little bit busy, but it's kind of fun, isn't it? So here we have one of the patterns is like a solid green, and it's almost like it was sanded down, and you can see some white. So it's almost like it's a two-tone cardstock. So if you ever wanted to make your own, you could just sand it down or kind of rough it up a little bit of the two-tone cardstock. I've got my piece of, okay, so let me tell you the measurements. First of all, the card base is 8 1/4 inches. So I've taken, it's 8 1/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches. So you're going to do, cut down the long side. You need the long piece, and you have to cut it at 8 1/4. Or I suppose you could do it across either way and cut off 1/4 inch off the 8 1/2 inch side, whatever you choose. But anyway, so you've got your 8 1/4 inches, and it is scored at 2 3/4 inches, so half of 5 1/2, and that totally makes sense because it's half of this card. My base, my back is 5 1/2, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. There was something there, and I don't know what it was. I'll have to take my adhesive eraser or put something there again because it's gone. Whatever was there is gone now, and it's sticky. Okay, so this piece here, this is my mini card. So I'm referring to this as the card base. So this is 8 1/4 inches, scored at 2 3/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches. This piece here is 8 inches, and it's scored at 4 inches. So these pieces here, and this is going to be 3 1/4 inches. So these pieces of DSP are going to be 3 inches by 3 3/4 inches, as is your insert. So 3 inches by 3 1/4 inches on the DSP. And then you're going to do it on an 8-inch piece scored at 4 inches by 3 1/4 inches. Hope that makes sense. That means out of one sheet of paper, you can get 3, because you can get 3 1/4 times 3, which is going to be 9 3/4 out of 11 inches. You're still going to have a tiny little strip at the bottom. What I usually do is I have my 8 inches, I score it right down the center at 4 inches, and then I cut off my 1/2 inch on the side there, and then I cut it into the 3 1/4 inch strips. I hope that doesn't make it so confusing. This DSP is also part of it. I did not do such a great job cutting originally. I cut some in the wrong direction. I cut some short. This is the piece that you need. Okay, so it's black and white. I like it going horizontally. You could do it vertically if you wanted to, if that's what you have. This is the back of it, which is also very, very pretty, but it's not what we're using, and it really doesn't go with this red floral here. I just think it just doesn't quite go along, which is why we're using that. So we're going to start, let me just start with the easy part, which is attaching your DSP to your card base. So I'm going to put that right there, right in the back. Get your hands under it and get it in the right spot. I just plop that down, and I probably have sticky on my edges there. Okay, there we go. Now I have a piece, this, remember I said this is scored at 2 3/4 inches. That means my piece in the front is going to be 4 1/4, this is 4 1/4 inches high. So I'm instead going to take off 1/4 inch, and I'm going to make this DSP, just so it's easy to remember, 2 1/2 inches by 4 inches. And you can do it whatever looks like up. I think that looks like up. So let's attach this to the front. This is the back of it. You can use any DSP. So this card is so easy to, I don't know what it's called. There's probably a fancy name. Rose, you probably know the name, so let us know. What you're going to do, oh, it doesn't look like I scored this just perfectly straight. So let me take my bone folder, and I'm going to try to burnish this straight. It looks a little bit crooked, like my edges aren't going to quite line up. There we go. It was a little bit so that it almost looked like, just like that. I don't want that. Okay, so before I've made it nice and tight, I've burnished it so that it's straight. What I'm going to do with this one is attach this in here, and instead this card is opening to the left, just like any normal card. This one has to open to the right. If you open it to the left, then you can't put it on, it just doesn't work. So let me put adhesive on the back of this. And like I said, make sure your opening goes. We're centering it this on our DSP. Make sure your opening is on the left. Folding to the right, like that. That's how you want it. Okay, so I've got my piece of paper inside here. I can attach that. I might stamp something inside, so let me wait on that for a second. This is the DSP I was talking about. This one seems to have a little bit less white than the other one. I would call this probably Garden Green or Shy Shamrock. I'm not positive of the color. Some of Stampin' Up's colors lately in their DSP, it just doesn't have quite a perfect Stampin' Up color match, just to let you know. Like this one, it probably is boho blue. You could probably use balmy blue since our boho blue is gone. I'm going to put that right there. And then this is one of the Nested Essentials dies. I think this, I'm not sure if this is the second largest or the third largest. But just so you know, this die piece is 2.5 inches by about 1 7/8 inches. So whatever you wanted it, you could use a rectangle as well. This is just the one I chose. And I'll tell you, what I want to do on this one is attach it closer to the bottom, even though, because I have to have room for my blooms or they're going to go off the card. My blooms are going to go over the top, and it's going to be the same thing, these delphinium or stock type of flowers. What I did was I did this is from the Pretty Florals. I did 2 pieces. Let's attach this first. Let's just attach this so it doesn't move around on us, and then we can attach our pieces of Garden Green die cut. So these are both leaves that are part of the suite out of the, it coordinates with the Pretty Florals particularly, but it kind of coordinates with everything. You could cut this if you wanted to with adhesive on the back, but it's not a terrible thing to add a little bit of, see, I'm not adding a lot of glue. I'm just adding just a little bit. And I kind of smear it with the tip too, just so that I don't have big gobs of glue everywhere. So let's go like that. And we're going to attach the other one kind of heading in the different direction. We could do it a little bit higher, a little bit lower, whatever we want to do. So let me just add some glue just like that. And then I wanted to coordinate with this DSP, and like I said, I believe it's the Mixed Blooms DSP. It's on low inventory, by the way. It's not sold out, and it's not on last chance, but it is on low inventory. Okay, so to me, this could kind of be the flower that we're imitating, which is why I chose this. So what we need to do is take a piece of scrap paper, and we're going to do the same thing that we did with our Petunia Pop, but this time with Poppy Parade. Real red is just not, it's too red. The real red, this one I feel like if you see it in the DSP, it has a little bit of orange in it, and I feel like Poppy Parade does too. Do you love my brand new Poppy Parade ink pad? I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it? Okay, we're going to start with our outline, just like that. I've already stamped this and I've already die cut it, so I'm just showing you how to do it again. Stamping off and then kind of lining up, not being crazy. And I didn't even stand up for that, and that kind of lined up pretty well. So don't worry about it if it's not perfect, okay? So here, what I would do is take my Pretty Florals die, and this is what it looks like, just like that. There's only one of them, and you're going to have to stamp 3, which means you have to cut out 3. So let's just put that to the side. Let's attach these. I've already die cut them. Let's see. Is this my green that I might? see how I've stamped the back of this? Just to let you know, I was practicing for that card over there, the Petal Pink and Timid Tiger card. Nobody sees the back of your cards. Please don't get hung up about perfect, you know, it has to be, you know, getting rid of your scrap paper because it has stamping on the back. If you can't see it through, do not worry about it. Use it anyway. Nobody's going to know. This one I'm going to go up just like that. This one in the center, I'm going to pop it up. So I'm going to take some dimensionals, and you know, I don't think I've used dimensionals at all today. This is my first time pulling out the dimensionals, and I'm just going to choose a spot in the center and pop it up. I'm going to go like that, just like that. Isn't that pretty? Let's see. Now I have to stamp my inside. So I'm not going to stamp any more flowers. We've got plenty of flowers. Oh, it's already 6 o'clock. I have to go out walking after this, and it's 90 degrees right now, guys. So say a quick prayer for me after I finish this, because I'm headed out to the lake. I'm going to Quanapowit, which is 2.5 miles, 2 miles from here. And I'm going to walk the 3 miles around it real quick and get my 10,000 steps. Okay, I want to stamp something on the inside. What do I want to stamp? Oh, I love this. I couldn't have picked a better friend. Isn't that purple? Purple. Isn't that perfect? You're picking the blooms. And that's what it looks like. It looks like cut blooms. That looks like it's right out of your flower garden. I'm going to stamp that in the inside. And maybe I will stamp that again in, I think I'm going to stamp it in Poppy Parade. I don't have Garden Green here, so I'm going to stamp it in Poppy Parade. Oh, if you do that, good news, guys. There's a second side, and this time you're going to learn from it, and you're not going to rock your stamp. You're just going to set it there and leave it and have a perfect stamp. Nobody else sees the inside or the back or knows about the back side except for you and me. So just want you to know, even I sometimes over ink and am not careful. So, and sometimes it's just not your fault, just to let you know. It could be about the way the machines are cutting the stamps nowadays. I know some of them are really tough. Okay, so there you go. And here is our card all done. Let's just add a couple of gems since I have them right here. I'm going to use our antique pearls for that. I could use something red. We just don't have a red. We used to have our red rhinestones, but we really don't have any red gems right now. I'm hoping that's something that's going to come out in the new catalog, which, by the way, demonstrators are going to see, I think probably this week. I think we're going to see it this week because next week we can start pre-ordering. So anyway, let's see. I'm going to take a big one, a big gem, and I'll put that, I'm going to put that down there. Doesn't need to be in the center. We can put our medium one. Let's do it over there. And let's do our small one. I got a little small one over here. I'm going to do that like right there. There's no, if there's a way to do this as science to attach gems, please somebody let me know. I don't know what it is. Look at this. If you saw that like this, I didn't do a great job. I just saw this. I didn't do a great job die cutting. I kind of cut off the top. You can always use your scissors and your paper snips and trim off the bottom, and nobody will be the wiser. Only you will know that you did that. We're going to add one little thing yet, and that is just, if I can find my linen thread, which I saw here. Well, it's supposed to have linen thread. You could use white. I had a linen thread. Let's see, where did my linen thread go? Well, I don't see it. I'm not going to worry about it. It doesn't really need it, but you could always put your linen thread down here on the bottom as well. Do it with some fun and fancy tails. So nice long length. I could do, like I said, I could do that with the white. I'm just going to show you how. I just do that loop, do around my thumb, do another loop, pull it through, and then I just finagle. I just start playing with it until I have what I like. And Unfortunately, sometimes that means my loops kind of twist and turn, and you could just attach that right down there. Nice and fun. So there you go. I'm going to look for my linen thread and I'm going to finish this card, but that is it. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to I showed you my nice messy room. I wanted to say goodbye. So thank you for watching today. I had a wonderful time. I had a really, really good time. I always enjoy stamping with you guys, and hopefully I will stamp with you next Monday. As far as I know, so far I'm not scheduled to work. Plan on not scheduling to work. I'm going to show you the blues kit and some fancy cards that we made for our retreat. I can't wait to show you. I hope you all have a great week. Stay cool and keep stamping. Bye.